Last video, my crypto trading bot lost money. Tonight, it makes 4.89% over 2 years on real crypto trading data. Then I found the thing my backtest wasn't counting, and 4.89% profit turned into negative 0.02%. So the rest of this video is me trying to claw it back live, no idea if it works. The plan is to make a strategy that is much simpler. So we'll have a quick look at what we've landed on as a kind of jumping off point for our strategy here. So as before, we're obviously still going to stay in that BTC and USDT perpetual market on Bybit. Could use Binance or any other big exchange that offers perpetuals. The main indicator for our strategy is going to be based on RSI. So RSI, or relative strength index, is an indicator to determine whether something's been sold or bought too hard. Scale from 0 to 100. Generally speaking, if RSI goes below 30, it's generally considered oversold. And vice versa, if it's over 70, it's generally considered overbought. So it's more or less the strategy is betting on the reversal from once it hits either of these kind of thresholds on either side. So I've just got Bybit up here and just having a look at the market that we'll be trading in. And this here is the RSI 14 indicator. So as you can kind of see, this is the 30 number that we mentioned and the 70 number. So the general idea is that once it crosses either of these thresholds, we bet on a reversal. So, it crosses the 30 mark here. And at that point, because it's generally considered oversold, we'd look at buying a long position on that, and vice versa here. So it crosses that 70 RSI threshold, and then we buy a short position on the market. That's the general idea, is we're basically just betting on reversals in this kind of bandwidth here. The exit strategy for these positions are going to be once RSI drops back or goes back up above 50, or 12 candles elapse, whichever comes first. So we've also got a stop loss on this spot, and it's going to be 50% of margin. So 50% of margin is about a 4.2% change in the price of Bitcoin. So we're also going to be using 12 times leverage with this bot, and the position size that we've landed on is going to be 1% of total equity. We're also implementing a strategy, technically a type of like martingale strategy, where we increase our position after a loss. What we will be doing with that, though, is we'll be capping it at 3 losses. So why I chose this strategy, I have a general understanding of RSI as an indicator. That's one of many indicators that you could add to a bot, and it's really up to you to decide what you'd want to do in terms of how many indicators you'd want to include on your trading bot. As per my previous videos, I found that going crazy with different indicators made it quite hard and difficult to kind of understand what changes were affecting what, and possibly it just got a little bit too complex, and it really was hard to backtest it and again monitor what changes were actually effective or not. So that's why we're starting here with a very, very simple strategy with just like more or less one indicator. There are some other, things that were implemented with the bot as well in terms of positioning and exiting as well. But this is the starting point. Said previously, I don't have any technical trading background. This is more just an experiment to see if, one, creating a trading bot is simple enough, and 2, if it is possible to actually find one that's profitable. And these different specifications were chosen because they just felt kind of sensible as a good starting point. We've also implemented a martingale strategy with our changes in position sizes. The general gist of it is that bot has a loss. The next time that we enter a new position, we double our position size. However, what we've done is we've capped that at 3 losses in a row. So it would go from 1% of equity, next one it would go 2% after the loss, following on would go 4%, and then would go up to 8%. And then following that point there, the next trade, if it was another loss in a row, we would reset back to 1% base. Capping it there is simply put, if we left it uncapped, there is a possibility you can get like 8+ losses in a row. You get something like 10 losses in a row, possibly. You'd completely wipe out the capital after, I think it's like after like 5 or 6, you would get close to wiping out the capital. And it's, yeah, so you just got to, I guess with that type of strategy, it's again, possibly not a sensible one, but I think it's an interesting one to implement. We'll put it in to start with. If it doesn't work, we can get rid of it and change it if need be. So we'll have a quick look at the actual return from running this strategy here. So if you see here on the equity, this is the equity curve. We started off with 10,000 US dollars. And the strategy ended at 10,489 US dollars across 96 trades using martingale capped position sizes. The total return was 4.89%, win rate 46.9% over those 96 trades. Max drawdown on peak to trough equity, so the top to the lowest it went. So it was 7.3%, and we had a 5-loss streak. So again, obviously not capping that martingale strategy, that could have been pretty devastating had it had those 5 losses in a row and doubled position sizes on each of those trades. So look, pretty cool, pretty happy with it as a starting point for this strategy. My backtest assumes that trades are free currently. They're obviously not. My account obviously starts with $10,000. So a typical trade that I'm entering into is usually about $200. So it's usually about roughly 2% of my total equity. You might be asking, why is it 200 when we said that obviously the base position size is going to be 1% of the total equity, and we're starting at $10,000 as our total equity? What's happening is because of our martingale strategy, where we're increasing the position sizes, that obviously impacts on the average size of our trades pretty substantially. So the average amount that we're putting up per trade is $200 because we're using leverage, and we're on 12 times leverage. The amount of Bitcoin that I'm actually trading with goes up to $2,400. The rough part about how these fees work is that you're charged the amount on the total equity that you're trading with. So currently for Bybit, the taker fee that they charge is 0.055%. So it would be 24. So it would be 0.055% of 2,400. So it would be 3. This is the amount that we'd be paying per trade just to open it, and then again to close the trade. So, we're looking at that amount of $2.64 every single trade. $2.64 go on every single trade, and that's whether we win or lose. Okay, so how much does my average trade actually make me? The answer is about $5. I make $5. I have to hand back $2.64, so half my profit gone to fees. Then there's funding. So perpetuals charge you a small fee for every 8 hours that you hold. So on $2,400, that's about 24 cents a pop. I hold trades up to 48 hours, so that's up to 6 payments, another $1.44. The worst case, I make $5 and $4 of it disappears before it reaches me, and I still haven't counted slippage. So calculator math aside, let's make the backtest actually charge me these trading fees. So we're just going to add a new parameter in here. I'm just going to go right here. Cool. So that's just trading costs. So we've just added into our backtest.py file. Let's just save that. And the next step we're going to do is, because that's now been all saved, we're going to go into a terminal here. So I'm just in my folder, just grabbing the scripting now. Okay, let's see what happens here. Okay, wow. There's the moment of truth. We have our answer. Obviously a little bit hard to see, but I might see if we can quickly get this up in our... Okay, so we'll just quickly bring up the dashboard as well so we can see. So we'll just bring the dashboard up here so we can see. And yeah, wow, interesting. So you can see that with the fees introduced into our backtesting data, we can see here that that has basically dropped us below break even. So the total return over this 2-year period was negative 0.02%. So we lost $2. Wow, for the changes that we're going to make on the trading bot. So the plan is to start with, we're going to tighten some of those RSI thresholds that we have. Currently, we're running on that 3070 as those indicators for when we're either buying calls or buying shorts. So the reasoning for this is we're going to see fewer signals, so it's going to be harder for it to actually reach those points, which means higher conviction on the trades that we're making. That's going to directly cut the fee drag. That's going to directly impact and reduce the amount of trades that we're making, and as mentioned before, reduce some of those fees that we're incurring as well. Fewer trades, hopefully bigger average win. The second change that we're going to make to the trading bot is we're going to increase the hold window as well. So at the moment, we are exiting trades at either that RSI 50 or after 12 candles pass. So we're going to extend that to 20 candles. So the idea behind this is it's going to let the hopefully winners run further, so the average win grows relative to fixed fee cost. Is this going to help, or does it mean losers bleed longer? I'm not too sure, but let's find out and see. We'll just go back into our terminal here and okay, so let's run this back test here. So this is the updated scripting for this. Okay, so we've just run the scripting for that updated backtest with the new parameters that we've specified. Okay, so we've just run the dashboard here and we've got that one open up and we can see the new result here. Okay, now we're cooking, guys. So we've actually found a profitable strategy after those initial changes, which is super exciting. It's only 4.68%. Again, you're most certainly going to be better off just holding Bitcoin or holding some sort of index fund over that 2-year period. But it's pretty exciting to finally see something that could be profitable, even equating for the trading fees as well. As you can see, obviously we would have had a lot more without those, but still huge, awesome, exciting. We made those 2 changes. We've gone from basically break even. We have gone back up to 4.68%, which is pretty awesome from 2 small changes. So what we might do now is we might even implement another change, which I've been kind of thinking, as we spoke about earlier, to get rid of that martingale strategy entirely. So that martingale strategy, the strategy where we're increasing our position size after losses, is substantially increasing our average trade size. So I think maybe we'll quickly run that as well and make that change and see how that goes. So you can actually see what Claude is doing at the moment. So I've started talking to it in my microphone as well. I think you can probably just be a bit more descriptive as opposed to just typing using that. So we'll just see what he's come up with here. So let's go ahead and we're going to just download both of these just in our file explorer. And I'll just move these from there. Click that, yeah. And we'll just throw them to the actual folder and we'll just replace them. Great. So that's all done. So we'll bring up our terminal again. We've just run the updated scripting for the backtest to start with, and it doesn't look good here, so we're just going to start that updated dashboard. So we'll have a quick look at that now. So this is the updated dashboard. As we mentioned before, this is the one that we've actually removed the martingale in terms of our position sizings. It's taken it away from being dynamic more or less. So and yeah, a worse result, as you can see clearly. We have total return of negative 2.63%. Win rate obviously around the same as we have been doing for the other one. So as you can see, like comparing it even to our this one here. So this was the one where we still had the martingale in there. We had the RSI changed as well. So this was the first the first set of changes that we made, and this seems to be the one that had the increased result. I'd love to understand why this has happened too. How many trades were made? We've gone from 53 trades using a martingale cap position sizing up to 96 trades using the flat position sizing. That's very interesting. I'm going to just grab this data here. I'm actually going to throw this into Claude. One thing we have noted is the max drawdown as well. So of course, because of the position size, essentially to 5%. So possibly a safer strategy over that period of time. But again, you see the total return is in the negatives, which is, of course, not what we're after at all. And yeah, look, fees paid, $124. So substantially less in terms of the overall amount of for fees paid. So for the next video, I think we're going to split the data. We might tune on both, the 24 and 25 range, and possibly some 26 stuff as well. See if this strategy holds up through different kind of market conditions as well, which would be pretty interesting. But again, if this is a positive strategy, this is definitely one that we could look at starting to run on testnet, and then talking about moving. Talking about the future with the project, possibly looking at deploying some sort of AI agent alongside of it to monitor its performance, suggest improvement. And yeah, so as always, we'll show everything in terms of results for all this, and that's the goal of what I'm doing with this channel, is to test these projects that we hear online, to actually, see if they are plausible and possible, and how easy it is for someone who has basically no technical experience. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Feeling pretty good with it. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions around trading strategies and things that I can implement in the future, happy to start doing consecutive ones if I have the time. At the moment, it's just basically weekends that I'm kind of messing around with this and doing some filming and stuff as well. But I'm really enjoying it, and hope people are learning something out of it so far. Thanks so much, guys. Peace.